Spoiler alert! There's probably going to be a Nintendo Direct in January. Let's face it, Nintendo always seems to do a Nintendo Direct in January because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. You have to talk about what's going on in 2019 with both the Nintendo Switch and the 3DS, and I honestly feel like Nintendo has a lot of stuff to talk about going into 2019. Many people, such as myself, are predicting that 2019 will be the biggest year for the Nintendo Switch. It's really an open playing field right now with things like the Xbox One and the PS4 starting to wean off a bit, looking towards the next generation. It's definitely the year for Nintendo Switch owners and Nintendo Switch fans to get excited for, because there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen, and there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen in this Nintendo January Direct. So it's not really a matter of if it's going to happen, but what is going to be in this Nintendo Direct for the month of January that people should get excited about. So I decided it would be fun to give you guys my predictions for what to expect during this Nintendo Direct. What sort of surprises there will be, what sort of safe bets there'll be, and what sort of things to expect during this Direct. So sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about my predictions for the January 2019 Nintendo Direct.
Hey, RGT 85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my God, it's Stevie Richards! So the first thing I want to talk about are release dates for upcoming Nintendo Switch games, because there's a lot of stuff coming out in the year of 2019 for the Switch that still doesn't have a release date. And I feel like a lot of these titles will be coming out in the earlier half of the year, and it's something that Nintendo will want to talk about, sort of showcasing their lineup and what fans can expect from Nintendo. The first game I think they'll talk about is Yoshi's Crafted World, and I definitely see that as a March release for the Nintendo Switch. I think that's going to be their big springtime game, and I think it's a game that sort of makes sense. There has been some rumors floating around that it's definitely sort of confirmed for March because of some eShop listings in Nintendo of UK's eShop, but I think it's a safe bet that Yoshi's Crafted World will come out in the month of March. I think it's a really cool looking game. I definitely hope that there's more difficulty and more challenge in this game than we saw with Kirby from 2018, Kirby Star Allies. I just felt that game was entirely too easy. Yoshi games usually have a decent amount of challenge in them, so I'm really looking forward to this game, honestly. I love the art style, I love the visual style of the game. It's Nintendo's first game running with Unreal Engine, so it'll be very interesting to see how this game plays out, but I definitely think Yoshi's Crafted World will be a March release date. Now for the next game I want to talk about, it's definitely Fire Emblem, because I think Fire Emblem is going to be an April release date for the Nintendo Switch, and this is yet another game that fans should be very excited for, because you don't really see many Fire Emblem games come to Nintendo home consoles. Of course we saw it on the GameCube, we saw it on the Wii, but Fire Emblem definitely skipped the Wii U, and I'm definitely trying to get my hands on a new Fire Emblem experience. Fire Emblem games are really fun, and I really enjoy the strategic elements that they've implemented into these games. It's a tried and true series that's been around since the Famicom, so I think Fire Emblem is definitely going to be a April release for the Nintendo Switch. And Daemon X Machina, I believe, is going to be a May release for the Nintendo Switch. And yes, this is a Nintendo Switch exclusive, but it's being published by Nintendo. They are not developing this game, but I think it's an awesome looking game. I mean, everything that we've seen from the game is very stylized, a lot of Zone of the Enders, Armored Core sort of feel to it, and the online play is going to be in the game as well. A really cool visual style, really good music as well from what we've seen, and I think it's going to be a pretty big game. I think a lot of people are sort of sleeping on this game, but I think it'll end up really selling well on the Nintendo Switch as an exclusive. As far as other titles are concerned, yes, they will probably maybe hint at release dates or give time frames for these release dates, but I don't think they'll give the actual month for these release dates, because Nintendo likes to announce stuff, you know, about 6 months in advance max. So when it comes to games like this, I think they'll sort of keep it open for, you know, a potential upcoming March Nintendo Direct, because it seems like they like to do one every 2 or 3 months and stuff like that. But I definitely think those 3 games are going to be the cornerstones of the spring lineup. So Yoshi's Crafted World in March, you have Fire Emblem coming in April, and then you have Daemon X Machina dropping in May. I think that's a really solid lineup and probably what Nintendo will do. Next up, we're going to get some updates on things going on in the world of Nintendo. There's obviously a lot of games coming out. There's also services coming out and even DLC coming out that I think it's time for Nintendo to talk about. The first thing I think they'll showcase and talk about is the Animal Crossing game for the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, this is something that a lot of people are looking forward to. Animal Crossing is a really high-selling series, and it's a really popular series. I sort of am pigeonholing that for a late summer, early fall release on the Nintendo Switch. I think that's a good time to launch that game because Animal Crossing games have really good legs. They sell on everything. Animal Crossing actually outsold Smash Brothers on the 3DS, so that's just absolutely crazy to me. But the Animal Crossing community, I think, definitely deserves to get a little tease about the game, some gameplay information. What's going to be different about this Animal Crossing game? What's going to be added into this Animal Crossing game as opposed to previous Animal Crossing games? I could definitely see some online interconnectivity as well. Maybe, you know, being able to play some exclusive NES games in your Animal Crossing game if you have access to Nintendo Switch's online service, because you could play NES games on the original Animal Crossing on the GameCube, which was one of the coolest features of the game. But I definitely think you're going to get some Animal Crossing information for the Nintendo Switch. Another game you're going to get information on, I think, is Luigi's Mansion 3. I think you're going to see some more gameplay of that game, probably a fall release as well. You know, they'll sort of just say, hey, this is coming out in the fall, but here's some gameplay information on that, because I think that's a game that a lot of people want to see. Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube is a real hidden gem, and that's sort of weird because it's a Nintendo game, but it was a game that didn't really get much respect when it first came out, and that's a shame because it was a really fun game. It looked really beautiful. It was just kind of short. And then, of course, we got Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, which some people liked, some people didn't like, but I think Luigi's Mansion 3 is going to be sort of a return to form for the series. They're going to do away from the sort of segmented stuff and just have like a big open mansion again. So I think Luigi's Mansion 3 is going to be another focal point of this Nintendo Direct, and I think they're going to finally show some more gameplay and give some more information on it. Another thing I think they're going to focus on is the Nintendo Switch Online service, because we knew about all the games coming out until the month of December via the NES Online service, but beyond that, we didn't know anything. We still don't know anything about the January releases coming to the NES Online service for the Switch, and I think it's time that they started talking about that, started implementing more features, started giving people more value for their buck. There's still a lot of people that are disappointed with the Nintendo Switch Online service. I'm sort of half and half on it. Like, I understand it's a necessity to play my games online, but I would like to see more out of it, and I think they're going to start to implement more features and add more stuff to it as 2019 goes on, and I think the Nintendo Direct in the month of January is a perfect place to do that. I think you're also going to see Joker in Smash footage, because Joker from the Persona series is obviously a very big deal. A lot of people are hyped for it. I don't think you're going to see like an in-depth sort of thing where it's like showing combos and all the things that they can do or whatnot, but I do think there will be some very brief gameplay showcasing Joker. Obviously, the announcement went over very well with people. A lot of people are excited for it, and that's going to be the first batch of DLC for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It also gives them a chance to talk about other Smash Bros. Related things, probably like sales figures and stuff, so I think you'll see a very brief snippet of gameplay of Joker in Smash Bros. And I also think you're finally going to get the first information and gameplay of Bayonetta 3 on the Nintendo Switch. Now, I do think that that will be a late fall, early winter release of 2019 for the Nintendo Switch, but I think it's time for Platinum to start talking about this game and showcasing this game, because obviously it's going to be a big game. You know, it's a game that a lot of people are excited for. Bayonetta 2, of course, was an absolutely fantastic experience on the Wii U. It was really a reason to own a Wii U, which is sort of weird saying, you know, own a platform for just one game, but Bayonetta 2 was just an incredible experience, and I think Bayonetta 3 is going to be another, you know, amazing experience, and I think it's time for Nintendo to finally lift the veil on that and start talking about that. So those are the things that I think we'll see in the world of updates. And then, of course, you have announcements, and the announcements part, honestly, is pretty tricky for me, because I don't want to, you know, give you guys false hope, but these are just things that I think will be announced. I'm playing it pretty safe. I do think there'll be some crazier things, but there's definitely some stuff I want to talk about. The first announcement I think we'll see is the Metroid Prime Trilogy HD Collection on the Nintendo Switch. I know a lot of people were expecting that to be announced during the Game Awards. I was expecting it to be announced during the Game Awards. I have heard that this is in development. I'm pretty confident that it is in development, but for whatever reason, it was not showcased at the Game Awards. Maybe Nintendo just wanted to save it for a Nintendo Direct, but we of course have seen Nintendo do things like this. You saw the Bayonetta 1 and 2 collection come to the Nintendo Switch, and then of course Bayonetta 3 is on the horizon, and I think this just makes sense. People want to play these games again. People want to be able to experience these games again. They released on the Wii U. You might as well bring it over to the Nintendo Switch as well, because I think it'll be a good starting point to get people excited for Metroid, which could potentially, of course, Metroid Prime 4 could potentially be a 2019 release as well. A lot of people are thinking that it will be a late fall, early winter release for the Nintendo Switch, the big Switch game of the holiday season, and I think it just makes sense for this collection. Another thing I think we're finally going to see, and this is just me talking out my ass, I don't really have any inside information on this, but Super Mario Odyssey DLC. Let's be honest here, folks. Super Mario Odyssey kicks ass. It's still my favorite Nintendo Switch game. I absolutely love the game, and it's really shocking to me that we haven't gotten any DLC from this game yet, and especially when you look at how Nintendo themselves have been saying they want to extend the life of their games and add in DLC into these games. Of course, Breath of the Wild got DLC. Mario Tennis Aces got DLC. So where the hell is my Super Mario Odyssey DLC? I want more worlds. I want, more New Donk City. Just like do more in New Donk City. Add in new challenges, add in new things that happen in there. That's still the greatest level in a Mario game ever, in my opinion. I replay it all the time. It's just so much fun, meandering around New Donk City, seeing Mario with all these human characters. But Super Mario Odyssey is selling so well. It's continually selling very, very well. It's the highest selling Nintendo Switch game to date, although I do think Smash Brothers will surpass that. But this is a game that needs DLC. And, well, I mean, it doesn't need DLC, but it would be awesome if it had DLC. Revisit some old levels, revisit some old worlds from previous Mario games and implement them into this game. It really just seems like a strange decision that Nintendo hasn't done this yet, but I think they will, and I think you will see it at this January Nintendo Direct. And my final prediction, folks, get ready for the third parties, because this is going to be an insane year when it comes to the Nintendo Switch and third parties. You're going to get so many third-party games this year, and they're not always going to be the newest games. There's probably going to be a lot of ports, but with the Nintendo Switch selling so well, there's rumors that it's over 25 million units sold already at the time of the filming of this video. You're going to see these third-party developers go all in on the Switch. You're already seeing things like Mortal Kombat 11 and Doom Eternal come to the Nintendo Switch, and it looks like those games will be day-in releases with the other versions of the game. You have Crash Team Racing as well. There's a whole bunch of third-party Switch games that are coming that we know about, but I think you're going to get a bunch that you didn't know about. There's a lot of rumors about The Witcher 3 potentially coming to the Nintendo Switch. There's rumors of an Assassin's Creed HD collection coming to the Nintendo Switch. There are so many third-party games that I feel like are in development for the Switch now because it's selling so well, and that's really what Western developers care about. They don't care what sort of power the system has. Yes, it may be trickier to downscale these games for the Nintendo Switch, but if there's money to be made there, they're going to get that money. I've always said if a calculator was the most popular selling console in the world, outselling things like the PS4 and the Switch, then these companies, Activision, EA, would be putting their games on this calculator because that's how the market works with Western developers. And I think you're going to see a huge influx of Western developers. All right, so it's time to put away my crystal ball because I think I've given you guys some solid predictions. I definitely think a lot of this stuff will come true. I definitely think that a lot of these games will be slotted in those release dates, and I think you're going to see some Super Mario Odyssey DLC as well. And just be on the lookout for all these third-party games because, folks, they are coming, and your wallet's going to be suffering in 2019. But let me know what predictions you have for the January 2019 Nintendo Direct in the comments section down below. And as always, thank you guys for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.